Hey, so today I am releasing an input system that I've been working on this month. It's a couple of weeks' work so far. It's not perfect yet, but it's a good start, I think. And I'm making it available free because Unity's input system has a lot of problems right now. They're working on a new one, but who knows when that'll happen. And yeah, and alternatives, you know, they do exist. There are like things you can get on the asset store, but they tend to cost money, or they're complicated, or you know, they just tend to be a bit not to my liking. So I'm making this available if you want an input system that supports key rebinding and decent gamepad support. Relatively decent gamepad support. I shall demonstrate this for you today. My computer doesn't seem to run very well, so this is going to stutter a little bit. Yeah, you see it's stuttering there. That's nothing to do with the input system. That's I think it's Unity fighting with OBS right now. But yeah, this is working with my input system. It's I've got keyboard control. I can jump, and this is basically my example scene. But because it's using this, I can also use the gamepad. I could plug another gamepad in. Okay. I can plug another gamepad in now. Why not? Why not? Bim bada bim. And then yeah, then we're off. It's no worries. As you can see there, it's taking any input, so that's going from any input slot. But if I press start, it's this new player is only taking information from gamepad 2. So if I move try and press keyboard keys that normally control it, it doesn't do that. So this is a system that's definitely like good for multiplayer is a thing, because I've made a lot of local multiplayer games, and key rebinding is always a problem for it. So hopefully this new system is all right for it. See, now I've got the thing, and it gets awkward when I've got that any key there. We can also have like a keyboard and mouse player, and you know, this is the kind of stuff that it does when it's just working. I've got a list of things that I wanted to talk about. Right, basic usage, so like how you script stuff with it. So let's take a look at this player, the player script in the example that I've made. And I'll show you kind of just how it works. The main thing is, for the most part, it is just like Unity's input system. You know, instead of saying input.getButtonDown, I'll say synput.getButtonDown. And I can optionally pass a slot along. So you could, you know, the default is any, so like if any player presses the jump key, that's going to be fine. But if I pass a device slot, player slot, which is just an enumerator, and you know, you can have all of these different slots, you know, gamepad, numbers, keyboard and mouse. And if you want to separate the keyboard and mouse players, so one person plays on the keyboard and one person plays on the mouse, you can make a game like that. And you can quickly get which player is, you know, you know, tell which player wants to join a game just by doing listen for slot press, and that's basically like a get button down, only instead of returning true or false, it'll return a gamepad slot or a player slot, whatever, and you can instantiate a new player and say their slot is that, and just that player then gets all of their input. So this is like for every single player, gamepad, keyboard, or mouse controller, whatever it is you want to control a player with. You can do one script, and you don't have to do any special cases for that. Also, like getAxis works, but if you want to get stuff like straight into a vector, you can do synput.getVector and pass like along multiple axis names, and that'll work. So, you know, a little time saver there. What else have we got? Basic usage, slot system. I've kind of covered the slots and how to do it. I mean, the basic usage really is, it's just, instead of writing input.getButton, oh god, typing so badly right now. dot get button, you know, you'd write synput dot get button, and it does the same thing pretty much. So then, let me talk about common bindings, which is what gets different gamepads to work. I mean, these basically have the same binding, but you know, I've been testing on various different controllers, so I can get a million controllers down here right now. But I got my PS4 working. Can I get my PS3 controller working on my PC? It's not a problem with my system. It's I've just not found the right drivers for it. But any gamepad that works with Unity will work with this, and you can have them all. Where are we at with the freaking resources? Yes, common bindings. Okay, so this is where I keep basically all of the information for all of the different kinds of gamepads. This should do you for now. It's got Windows and OS X mappings for PS3, PS4, Xbox 360 and Xbox One controllers. If you think of other gamepads that players are likely to have and you want to set up some default mapping for them, you can just set them up here, throw in the name, throw which operating system this layout works for, set up buttons. So like we can make this gamepad has a D-pad left button and its axis. You know, you set it up like that. It's really simple. What it looks like, buttons, axes. Axes have like a few extra things, so you can set them to invert, clamp, rescale. So if like an axis goes from 0 to 1, or 0 or -1 to 1, or whatever it is that it does. You can also set whether, like, what value it counts as pressed by. Yeah, there's another thing. This input system, it can let inputs give you a button press events, and so it's so you can have on button down, on button up, and that's for axis values as well. So you know it doesn't discriminate. You can do an on button down on like that, or on left and right. So you know, you can. Oh God, I've not spoken on a video for fucking ages. I'm also a bit psyched about this because I've been planning this freaking thing for ages. So yeah, it's doing a lot of heavy lifting behind the scenes for you. You just say, you know, if a button's pressed, and you can pass basically anything to it, and it's been checking it for you, so it knows if it was pressed the last frame. You don't need to worry about that stuff when you're coding your menus. So yeah, that's the common bindings. Like, these are going to be the presets. So, you know, when a gamepad is plugged in, if the player hasn't rebound that gamepad themselves, it's going to just load up the common bindings and say, right, okay, well, this is that button, this is that button, and I know what to do with that. But players can rebind, and that's something I'm talking about a little later down. The next thing I talk about is, yeah, I'm just going through the stuff you kind of set up in the project. Like this, you probably can just ignore. Like, it's good to know that it's there. Like, if you've got a gamepad that you want to set up, I made a little utility for that, so you can just run this. This is the gamepad testing scene. So this is like what I use to check a pad. So I go through the thing, I see what buttons does this gamepad work, what does it map to, and I can check axes and whether I should be inverting them. I can see it all here and use that as just a guideline to set up down here. So yeah, setting up gamepad common bindings. That's how we do that. Next thing is the control scheme. This is basically your replacement for the input manager. Like we have. I will tell you about this. The input manager, like that you might be familiar with. I mean, if you're wanting this system, you probably already know that Unity's input manager is pants. Like, it's pants. So what I have here is an auto-generated input manager file generated by this script right here, which I will talk about in a second. And it's basically got everything for up to 11 gamepad axes, up to 11 gamepads with 28 axes each, and also mouse scrollings, and also a couple of things because I've not set up Unity's standalone input module, whatever. The thing that it uses for Canvas UI events. That's on my to-do list. Right, yes, so this, all of this stuff just gets automatically set if you run this script. Just put it on a game object, run, and it will replace the, see, writing, you can't see it because it's behind me, but it says here, writing new input manager asset, and then done. And it might not show up if you go to your input settings. It might not show up correctly, but if you close Unity and reopen, it'll show this stuff, and everything's just being preset to what Synput likes to check for. Anyway, so this is what's actually replacing. This is where you're actually going to put your inputs now instead of Unity's rubbish input manager, and it works pretty much. I was going to say it works pretty much the same. I've set it up so it's mostly the same, but it's a little different. So we've got our inputs. You know, this is the stuff that we'd be checking for. So if it's like get button down left, things that can return true for left, or is the A key if you've got the WASD controls, left arrow, left stick left, the D-pad left. And I could say, you know, I could make the mouse click like a left click is going to return left. If I want to make left click make the character move left or whatever. So, you know, that's how we set that up. We've got 3 sets of things. And virtual inputs too. That's... Honestly, I can't remember if I've coded that or not. But that's for if you want other scripts to tell Synput, okay, this is what this virtual access state is right now. And you can map that to other things. So if you've got like custom devices that are trying to connect to your game and they don't map as Unity gamepads, or you're trying to do some custom fancy thing, it's meant to support that. But yeah, I honestly can't remember if I've coded that or not. I'll need to check my notes later. Like I say, this is the first version of this system. But yeah, and you can just remove thing. I'm not going to click that because I like this current setup right now. But you can add things, remove. Yeah, there we go. That's how you remove stuff. Just click the cross. So you can make a new control. So like what kind of things you do in a game? A reload. We can make a reload button, and you can say R key on the keyboard. Oh god. Hey, this works differently than on a Mac. R key on the keyboard, and you know, we can say, oh yeah, we'll also have delete if it's an alternate keyboard input, and we can say, oh, we'll put it on the third mouse button. Yeah, so if people's got like a fancy mouse, they can reload that way. And what's reload usually on a gamepad? It's like X, I think. Honestly, it's been so long since I've played like a shooty game on a console. There we go, yeah, so you know, and that's set up. We also have smart controls, and these are the things that behave like the input stuff that you're used to, and they're built from regular controls. So we'll have a horizontal control, and this is set to work exactly like Unity's regular horizontal control. It's built from the right and left control, so it's got a right control and a left control. It looks at these, and then it has its own value that will change depending on what's being pressed. It's got a dead zone, gravity, and speed. Speed is like sensitivity in the Unity's regular settings. I mean, basically this is exactly what the values here, punch in the same values that you have in your own Unity inputs manager and put them in here, and it'll work the same, apart from scale and speed. There used to be sensitivity in the see, I've been talking like a million miles an hour and I'm tired again. In Unity's input manager, they're just sensitivity, but I've split them up. Speed is how fast the value moves towards whatever it is. So like if right is pressed, then the value should be 1, you know. So how fast does the value of horizontal move towards 1? Speed is what sets that. And at the end of it, scale will multiply everything. So if you want everything to come out as like 5, yeah, you can do that. Or make it like half the size, and you know, whatever. It works how you expect for the most part, I think, unless there's bugs. But I don't know of any bugs, so like I'm just gonna bask in my optimistic ignorance for now. Let's see, common binding, control scheme, rebinding. This system has rebinding. It's honestly the code behind it is a mess right now, but what changes did I make to this scene? Oh, I added the input settings generator, but we don't need that. Yeah, the code for rebinding is kind of a mess, but let's not maximize that because my my video, my gorgeous head will obscure it. Yeah, the code for this system is kind of a mess right now. It's on my to-do list to improve it and make it more suitable. So if you want to make your own rebinding menu, that's fine. But for now, you can just use this one and it should work. So it works like a rebinding system. It's, as you can see, it's listing the connected gamepads. If I unplug a device, it's gonna, you know, I mean, there we go. Unity's a bit slow on Windows with devices connecting and reconnecting. Oh, why is it listing as an empty freaking? Okay, I don't know why it's doing that, but you can rebind stuff. So if I want igical controls, I can just be, you know, or I can remove stuff. I can add new bindings. So let's use the numpad for this one. Yeah, why not? And you know that's gonna work. There is a bit of awkwardness with the mouse X, Y, and scroll wheel. I've only included those because they're in the default Unity inputs. I'll be fixing those up to work like the rest of the system, is in distinct left and right and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so obviously it works for keyboard, works for gamepad too. God damn, so many gamepads and cables on my floor right now. But yeah, oh, missed it. There we go. And yeah, it's just you know, you just get it how you want, and it works. And then you click apply, and oh, what the fuck did it just do? Why did it stretch out? Why does this? Yeah, see, this is this unlisted gamepad. I don't know what that's about yet. Oh, this didn't happen on Mac. Really irritating. I don't know why Unity would behave differently. Anyway, it's on my list of things to fix, I guess. But for now, this is how it is. It's kind of working. What happens when I replug it in? Now, let's not do debugging in the middle of a fucking explanation video. That's foolish. Let's not do that. Anyway, if I go back to the example now, you'll see, well, you can't see, but I'm pressing the numpad buttons to move around now, or igical, and it works. It works. Like, that's significantly easier than Unity's input system, which you know, you need to do at the start, and you can't have more than like 2 values, and it's all bound up in this whole axis system, even when you don't necessarily want it to be an axis. Oh, I didn't mention, but you can treat you know, regular controls as an axis. So, you know, left will be 0 if it's not pressed, and 1 if it is pressed. It's you know, it all works kind of as you expect. What else do I have to talk about? Rebinding. Disclaimers! I think I've mentioned that, and it should be apparent that this is a work in progress thing. Let me just see. Yeah, like I've zoom in so you can see somewhat. This is the main script. I've got like just basic usage instructions, which I've gone over all of that really. And yeah, as you can see, my to-do list is not empty. It's still got all of this stuff, which I'm calling priority, but I wanted to release today because it's Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and God, that's a fucking tongue twister when you say it out loud. I've been typing it all the time, but saying it is fucking Anyway, yeah, but I'll be working on this some more because I'll be using this for my own games. You know, I've got quite a few games that you know, for my Patreon monthly builds that I've worked on that, you know, they've got gamepad inputs or whatever, and it's all terribly old systems and old bindings, and you know, porting it is just a nightmare. But a decent input system like this is going to save me a whole bunch of time, and it's also going to mean I'm going to be able to make nicer rebinding menus. I don't know if you've played any of my gamepad games, but the rebinding system is not the best. It's kind of a mess, and it's, you know, it only works with gamepads. It doesn't work with keyboards. So I've needed to make a system like this for quite a while. I'm really glad that I did. Gosh, that list is a lot longer. I mean, that list was half the size this morning, but like, as I've been trying to get this ready for like this release, I've been just thinking, oh shit, yeah, I should do this, I should do that, I should, yeah. So, 2 weeks to get to this point, and I think it's probably going to be another couple of weeks before I'm doing anything else, but this is the release. I hope it's useful to you. If you've got any thoughts about it, any questions, let me know. But I think that's all I've got to say about it. I mean, what have we got in here? I mean, yeah, I've got a bunch of scripts in there, but it's all in nice tidy namespaces, so it's not going to get in the way of your code hints or whatever. Rebinding, I've spoken about all the stuff in there. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. Got some editor scripts, but you've seen those in action with these really nice interfaces that I've done. Look how nice these interfaces are. Look at that. It's really pretty. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Thanks for watching this far and putting up with me running off at like 1,000,000 miles an hour at the mouth and then just stopping because I can't keep it up. Anyway, I hope you're doing well, and I hope that this script is useful to you. I mean, scripts is the thing. This is just a... God, how much code have I done for this? Anyway, bye.